is the 77 WABC minicast.
Sunday morning. Well, a lot of things are happening in New York this week. With us today is Senator George Borrello, and from the great county upstate of Chautauqua County.
That's right.
And I mean, I don't know what's happening anymore, Senator. The socialists took 3 congressional primary seats this week. I talked to the president. He's starting to worry about this. What is your thoughts?
Well, keep in mind they also wiped out a lot of incumbent Democrats that you would call somewhat moderate. You had the Democratic Socialists, people that are devout communists, people that are Islamists that have wiped out longtime Democrats across the state, but particularly here in New York City, and it's very troubling. One person that won a primary in Queens says that 9/11 was America's fault because of capitalism and white supremacy. Now, this is a city that 25 years ago suffered the worst terrorist attack in American history, and now we're going to send someone to Albany that believes that it was our fault. It's just very, very troubling and, quite frankly, disgusting that someone like this even has an opportunity here in New York State.
And I mean, you have the pulse of the situation upstate. You have a big election coming up, I guess, this November.
Yep.
And the socialist candidates are trying to take a hold of the whole Democratic Party.
Well, they have. There's no doubt about it. They are the thought leaders. Right now, Zohran Mamdani has more political capital and more sway than Governor Kathy Hochul has. It's identity politics, John. These are people that believe that someone who's white doesn't deserve to be holding office. It's identity politics at its absolute worst. It's racist, to be honest with you. But then look beyond New York City and where they've gotten some other footholds. But what I said recently, I was at a Chamber of Commerce event in my district. I said, this is no longer a Democrat versus Republican thing. This is really the far left radical socialists, communists that are based here in New York City that have basically said that New York is no longer part of America as far as they're concerned. They don't believe in the American dream. They don't believe in capitalism, and their version of socialism is a venomous one. The promise of socialism is we're going to make your life better by making somebody else's life worse. It's not about opportunity, which is what America's always been about. It didn't matter what family we're born into. You could make it here. How many of our ancestors came to this country with nothing to their name, not a dime to their name, and they provided for themselves. Many of them built businesses, built fortunes, multi-generational wealth, and they want to confiscate that. They want to take that away because they believe it was somehow unjust. I come from Italian immigrants, people that worked hard. And sacrificed. They didn't come here with their hand out. They certainly didn't come here to trash the American way, which is what we're seeing now. It's very troubling, and I hope the voters of New York State wake up. If the same people are in charge after this election, things are going to get far worse. A lot of election year delays and kicking can down the road, like the radical climate agenda. What's going to happen after the election if the same people are still in charge? That's the question people have to ask themselves.
Understood. And is the exodus continuing? I haven't
Yes.
I haven't spoke to anybody upstate. I haven't talked to the New York State business people.
Yes.
Is the exodus continuing?
It is. I think I mentioned to you before, John. My district borders the state of Pennsylvania for about 100 miles straight, and we lose more businesses and more population to the state of Pennsylvania, on an almost daily basis. But New York as a whole, we lead the nation in the worst thing that you can lead the nation in, and that is out-migration. More people leave this state than any other state in the nation. So people are voting with their feet. That's the old saying, right? But it's the population loss is actually worse than it appears on paper. Because who are we losing? We are losing productive people. We are losing business owners, taxpayers. We're losing those folks that have the money to spend to support these programs. And the governor knows it. She's begging for them to come back. And who's coming to New York State? Who's coming? People that want services. People that can't get services in other states, but they can get it the day that they show up in New York. The moment that you show up in New York State, you're eligible for the most generous and most bloated, corrupt Medicaid program in the country. And that's so. If you look at the net, it's bad enough. But if you actually look at productive people that pay taxes, support themselves and their families, versus those that are coming here to be dependent, it's even worse. Our population loss is even worse.
Well, so where do we go from here?
Well, this is.
I mean, I live in Manhattan, and because of congestion pricing, and I really think that it's one of the reasons, is there's more closed stores, there's more empty commercial stores than ever.
There is, and this is a trend in urban areas throughout New York State in particular. But when you're telling the business owners that they can't have a safe place, that people that shoplift can't be prosecuted, when you tell them that they have to pay more in taxes and utilities, that they can't afford to keep the lights on, when you continue to burden these folks, how can they provide these services? I mean, you have a city like New York, this densely populated population, and there are huge swaths, particularly in the outer boroughs outside Manhattan, that are deserts for things like food and pharmacies, the basics. How can that happen in a city like New York, the most populous city and arguably the most important city in the United States? How could you have that type of third world, third world situation going on here? We are turning the state into a third world nation, and that's the troubling part. And the voters need to step up and say enough is enough.
Well, I think we take one day at a time. Anything else you want to tell all Americans?
I will say this.
Not just New Yorkers, all Americans.
Well, as you say, Katz and Cosby, truth, justice, and the American way. I still believe in that. And I believe that we can turn things around here in New York State. I don't want to leave. I don't want to sell my businesses. I want to stay here, and we're going to fight.